So about 18 months ago, I made a video about the top 10 most ambitious non-league clubs that you can't ignore. And out of those 10 clubs, 8 of them in that time have gone on to gain promotion, of which 2 of them have got 2 promotions. So yeah, I thought, what teams are there out there now that are just as ambitious, that potentially in a couple of years' time could be getting promotions, and clubs that are really ones to watch. Let's get into that in this video. But anyway, if you're new around here, remember to click that subscribe button. We are closing in on that 10,000 goal by the end of the year. Only about 800 left to go now. So yeah, click the subscribe button if you're new. So in at number 10 is Worcestershire-based side Bromsgrove Sporting. They've got 4 promotions in the last 8 years since their reformation following the liquidation of Bromsgrove Rovers. The last 2 seasons have been 2 promotions in a row, and this season they're currently sitting top of the table in the 8th tier. In the Southern League Division 1 Central, one of the games that's brought them to everyone's attention this season was an emphatic 11-0 victory over Kidlington in their first home league match of the season. It was a real statement that they really mean business. This has also coincided with really good crowds for the level of almost 1,000. And then number 9 is another club that's very well supported for the level. It is Scarborough Athletic. With an attendance of 1,106 last season, it was the second highest in the 8th tier, but they're not in that league anymore as they were promoted to the Northern Premier League Premier Division. Those attendance stats for last season were a 200% increase on the previous season. Now the reason for this was because they moved back from Bridlington, which is where they've been playing since their reformation in 2007, to the Flamingo Land Stadium, which is a newly built stadium in Scarborough and saves that 34-mile round trip that fans were making previously. In at number 8 is Harrogate Town, who had some sort of National League North curse on them after being stuck in that league for over a decade. They've now finally been promoted to the National League despite heavy investment for a number of years. They've also installed a 3G pitch, and in the National League this season they are doing very well. They're up in the playoffs. So this 3G pitch, could it be a problem if they want to progress higher? We will soon see whether those regulations change, because it's been topic of big debate in the last couple of years. In at number 7 is Billericay Town, owned by the infamous Glenn Tamplin, who last season reports were suggesting that he was investing as much as £30,000 a week into the wage budget, bringing in big name players such as Paul Konchesky, Jamie O'Hara, Jermaine Pennant. But after their promotion from the Boston League Premier Division last season, O'Hara is the only one who remains. There was a bit of a managerial merry-go-round at the club between Tamplin and previous manager Harry Wheeler. Basically, Tamplin was in charge and Harry Wheeler was assistant. Then he appointed Wheeler as manager, then sacked him, and then made himself manager, and then sacked Wheeler again, and then tried to get Wheeler back, but he couldn't because he wouldn't come back. And then he went to Maidstone, and then Tamplin appointed himself as manager, and then he appointed Dean Brennan as manager, who was the former Hemel Hempstead manager, and that's what the situation is now. I think that he's done well on a very small budget in the last few years at Hemel Hempstead, in comparison to the budget at Billericay anyway, so I think that he could be doing very well this season, and it's proved so far they sit top of the National League South. In at number 6 is Kidderminster Harriers, who dropped out of the National League in 2016, but in that time since they've rebuilt and become a real force in the National League North. Consistent high finishes in the last couple of years, knocking on the door of promotion, currently sitting in 2nd place, gained a reputation for developing young players and coaches and getting them moves into the Football League and beyond. And yes, before you say it, I am biased. I do work for the club, but they're not paying me to say this, and also having worked behind the scenes, I can see the potential the club has got and how far the club potentially can go in the next few years. At number 5 is AFC Fylde, formerly known as Kirkham and Wesham. Back in 2007, they set a 15-year plan to try and reach the National League by 2017 and the Football League by 2022. This was at the time when they were sitting in the 10th tier, and they succeeded the first part of that goal. They've got 5 promotions in 10 years to get to the National League last season, and are now working to try and reach the Football League by 2022, hence the 2022 that is written on their sleeve. Putting the 2022 on the sleeve of the shirt, you could say, is quite an arrogant thing to do, but if nothing else, it does show the ambition of the club. Also, a couple of years ago, they moved to their new ground, Mill Farm, from Kellamere Park. And Mill Farm, for National League level, is quite a good stadium, and they also happen to possess the most potent force in non-league, in my opinion. That is Danny Rowe. How he isn't in the Football League, I will never know. Without doubt, the newest team on this list, the earliest stage of the football club's life cycle, comes in at number 4, and that is #United. Started in 2016 by popular YouTuber Spencer Owen. They started off as just an online Sunday league team, posting the videos of their matches on their YouTube channel, and now at the start of this season they've moved into playing in a league. Previously they were just playing friendlies and exhibition matches. They played at Wembley in front of 34,000 fans, but at the start of this season they controversially moved into the non-league pyramid, starting off in the 10th tier. It was a move that at the time a lot of people were against, but now looking back in hindsight, it seems like it is a positive thing that has happened. So if you want me to cover this whole situation in more detail, I'll do a video on it. Let me know in the comment section down below. As a club, they've got over 170,000 Twitter followers, 300,000 Instagram followers, and 400,000 YouTube subscribers. It's unbelievable the amount of numbers that they've got online. They've got fans from all over the world, which for a club at their level is unbelievable. And they've started the season off very, very well. They've currently won 9 games in a row and sit top of the Eastern Senior League North. And for me, they're a club that can go far. Now into the top 3, and the third place on this list goes to South Shields. The last 3 years have been insane for them. They've had 3 promotions in 3 seasons, going from the 10th tier now up to the 7th tier, the Northern Premier League Premier Division. They've not started the season off incredibly. They're currently sat in 8th position, but they have got a couple of games in hand over the teams on top of them. If they win those, they could go up to 2nd place. The thing that really stands out to me about South Shields is how they had an average attendance last season of 1,463, which if you rank all of the non-league clubs' attendances in order from all the different leagues, this club, who were in the 8th tier last season, would be in the National League. They've got the 24th highest attendance in non-league last season, which is insane. They made a few really impressive signings at the start of this season, the likes of Blair Adams, Josh Gillies, Paul Turnbull, also re-signing David Foley. These are players that in my opinion should be playing at a higher level, but they've got them into South Shields because they've got a lot of financial backing. They're looking to also extend their ground. Now into the top 2. Let me know who you think the top 2 are in the comment section down below before seeing the rest of this video. You done that now? Let's go. Number 2 is Leyton Orient. They were in the Football League for 112 years until 2 years ago, where they had the second of back-to-back relegations to drop from League One down to the National League. Now this was mainly down to the ownership of Francesco Becchetti, who was incredibly disliked by the Leyton Orient fan base for the bad things that he did to that football club. I can't even start to explain all of the things that he did, because basically you can see it ended in 2 relegations in 2 years. He initially didn't want to sell the club, but eventually it was sold to Nigel Travis, who is a Leyton Orient fan. He owns Dunkin' Donuts, and despite last season not finishing particularly high in the National League, that was their year to rebuild and adapt to their new ownership, and this year they've been doing very much better than that, fighting right up at the top of the table, currently sitting in the playoffs of the National League. They've also sold over 4,000 season tickets, which means the fans are all coming back. They're seeing that the good times are going to return to Leyton Orient. And finally, in at number 1, you've probably guessed who it is already, and it is Salford City. Obviously with their ownership, they've got a lot of financial backing. Peter Lim owning 50% of the club. He also owns Valencia in Spain. He's one of the richest men in the world. It also helps when you have 5 of the class of 92 owning the rest of the club. So you've got a mixture of intense investment and real serious experience in football. Combined together, you've got a real force that is being created at Salford. Ever since this class of 92 took over in 2014, they've been assembling squads that are capable of playing 2 leagues higher than they currently are, which means that this season they've been signing players capable of playing in League One, and that's proved by the signings of Adam Rooney, Danny Lloyd. Both of those boys are on reported salaries of £4,000 a week, which is crazy money for the National League. They've had 3 promotions in the last 4 seasons, and when you're spending that much money on players, it's likely that they're going to get a 4th one in 5 years this season. They've also got Graham Alexander as manager, who in my opinion was unfortunate to be sacked when he was manager of Scunthorpe last season. He was sacked while the club was still in the playoffs in League One, so to get him as manager was a real coup. And I think after a difficult start to this season for Salford, in their first 3 games not getting a win, they've really come good now, and they are challenging, and they're right up at the top of the table. Adam Rooney's on 12 goals, the top scorer in the league on the day of recording this video. And though the BBC like to report it as a real tale of a club coming from a lower league right up through and getting into the National League now, really it is down to their heavy investment really. So is it a fairy tale? Not really. There you have it, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, remember to hit that like button and click that subscribe button as well. Were there any teams that I've missed out that should have been included on this list? Let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.